Louise, recognize you don't cover AstraZeneca directly, but what's your take on the progress of this trial, what it means overall for the market for vaccines eventually?
Yeah, thank you for joining with you this morning. So basically for AstraZeneca, I think the data are somewhat messy and give the market a bit of unease about whether or not this vaccine will be effective enough for the broader population. So I think the question will be, will it make it to the U.S. market, or will it really be Pfizer and Moderna that are going to be the front runners here in the U.S. over the next year or two in terms of vaccinating the broader population? I think the problem with the vaccine is that we're not clear as to what the efficacy is. The 90% efficacy dose was in younger patients, and it was also by mistake and unintentional. So I think another trial probably is warranted for FDA emergency use authorization here in the U.S.
And in your assessment, then, what does it mean for Pfizer, Moderna, assuming they get to market as quickly as we now expect? Does it mean that they, therefore, will be kind of controlling this entire first phase of the rollout?
Yeah, I think that that's what we're going to be seeing. I think on December 10th, there's going to be a committee that's going to come together and review the regulatory emergency use authorization of the Pfizer vaccine, and then that's going to be followed by the Moderna vaccine. They'll probably have a separate review for that. And so we'll see the FDA documents pretty soon for that. But in the US, I think in December, we'll probably likely see an approval for emergency use authorization for both the Pfizer and the Moderna vaccine, which are both highly efficacious. The data are clean. It's been tested in a total of over 80,000 patients between the two studies. So I think it's very promising in terms of those two being the front runners here in the US and also for next year as well. And it'll be free of charge to patients, and they're going to do a rollout where they're going to look at some of the high-risk population groups, essential healthcare workers, healthcare providers first, and then move on to the broader population once there's a full BLA filing by the two companies.
Dr. Divan, I'm curious if we're eliminating a competitor from the vaccine market in the U.S. next year in AstraZeneca, Oxford. I'm wondering if that changes your assumptions for Pfizer and Moderna in terms of sales, and whether it also changes the assumption of how fast a price of the vaccine will come down. I mean, historically, vaccine prices haven't remained elevated. They've gone down to just a few dollars a dose eventually. So does this alter anything in terms of those timelines?
Yeah, thanks for having me on as well. So I agree with what Louise was saying earlier. This does likely make AstraZeneca more at risk of getting to the market. I think it's interesting. I think it's really going to be about how much Pfizer and Moderna can make in terms of the vaccine. Pfizer's talked about 1.3 billion doses that they hope to make next year. If they can make that much, I think there's certainly going to be the demand to sell that much. Our current estimates in our model only includes what they've already agreed to supply to these various governments. I think it's over 450 million doses now that they've talked about having contract with the US, the EU. So we still model based on that. But yes, if they can supply more, there's certainly going to be the demand. And I think there is going to be a lot more in terms of estimates going up, really for both companies. We don't cover Moderna, but I think for both companies, people are going to get more and more optimistic on how much they'll actually be able to sell.
Yeah, well,
in terms of long-term pricing, I think a few things will still play out.
Sorry, Dr. Van. We hope there's going to be demand for it. I wonder, given there is a lack of confidence among some in the population in terms of taking these vaccines, do you think AstraZeneca, which clearly didn't do the best job here, it would seem, in terms of the going through the data and the trial, do you think that hurts the overall vaccine effort in terms of people's confidence?
Yeah, I think it's unfortunate. I think that, this is obviously a very sensitive area. A lot of people are already nervous about the speed with which this has all happened. Obviously, the political overtones as well. So I think we need good, clean data. I think for Pfizer and Moderna, luckily they have produced very good, clean data. The FDA seems to be doing the best they can to make everything transparent, having this advisory committee meeting that everyone will be able to see the data and hear the discussion. So that should help. We have other ones coming as well, Johnson & Johnson and other vaccine manufacturers. So hopefully that overall people will get comfortable that these do seem to be very effective and safe vaccines. Unfortunately, I think Astra will be a little bit of a setback to that messaging. But again, there's other players here that should hopefully be able to help.
Yeah, hopefully we do have more options coming. Dr. Divan, Louise Chen, thank you very much for your time this morning.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.